Hi everyone, my name is Cheryl and this is my Happy Handcraft Studio. It's wonderful to be back with all of you again. So it's the end of January and it's been a really good beginning of the year. I said that last episode and it remains true. I've just been having a great time stitching, crocheting, sewing, quilting, reading, being with friends. It's really been a great month. So I'm going to start with some questions from last time. So I had a question from Lorraine about how I store my floss. And I store my floss physically two ways. So I have a picture of this bin that I use. And in the bin, I have those plastic containers that hold bobbins. That's what I started, 40 years ago when I started cross stitching, and I've just added to it over time. There is a smaller bin in there of pearl cotton that I used for one project, but haven't used since, but will probably use again. So when I'm about to kit up projects, that's my first stop. I go there and I see what I have. Now, my second stop, I've been really fortunate to have friends who have given me their entire stash of flosses. And one of the people who gave me their stash had owned a craft store. And so I have a container, and that's this organizer here, that holds brand new floss. Floss that hasn't been bobbinated, it's still in the skein, not used. So I have that as well. So if I don't have the threads I need in my smaller cases, I go to this case. And then I also have a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet lists what's in my extra storage bin. So if you would look at it, you'd see maybe it says 4/B22. That means I have 4 skeins of that color in bin number 22. I have lots of floss. But it's amazing though. I kit up a new project and I have to go buy floss. Like, how can that be? I also have a spreadsheet that when I kit up my projects, I make a note of what colors are going into the project. So if someday I need a color, it's not in my bobbinated boxes and it's not in my extra storage box, maybe there's one somewhere in my projects. So it's working so far, and I will continue until I use up all my floss. Yeah. It's a wonderful resource to have. I'm really very thankful for all the floss that I do have. I had comments on my pink Christmas tree, how everybody loved my pink Christmas tree, and I loved it too. I really liked it. It was hard to take down, it really was. I had thought of keeping it up till Valentine's Day, but it would have been just as hard to take down in February as the beginning of January. One of my friends knows about my pink tree, and so from her, I received all these little baby mice. So I have a bag of, a dozen. I can hardly wait to put them on the tree. They're just going to look so cute. And we'll go with kind of my cozy woodland feel. So a big thank you to her for that gift. Other questions? No, I think those were the main questions or comments. All right, I finished things. Now, I talked before about how I had the Jeanette Douglas mini bouquet pillows, pieces all done, and that I thought I would maybe use them for gifts. Well, I have 3 done. 2 are gifts. One's a gift to myself, you know. So the first one I did was this little January one with the pineapple. And I have a friend who, you know, gives me things, handcrafted things. She takes part in a couple of my different organizations. She's always there to help and to take on a role. So I made her this little pillow. And she has a beautiful yellow chair in her living room. So I think that will be just great. So just trimmed it with a little bit of green ribbon. So that was the first one. The next one, another friend that I do charity work with, needs to leave the organization for a while. And so I made this one for her. And really love this. And another quilt friend had just brought over a whole stash of quilt fabric for our Ujama fabric and yarn sale. And there was this piece of Liberty of London fabric. And I thought that was just perfect for this piece. So that will go to a friend. And then the final one, I said a gift to me, was for Valentine's Day. And so this was the February pattern last year, and it has nice hearts on it. So I have that one ready to go. That's just my iron telling me to be cautious. And for this one, I put a nice red heart on the back. It's a felt heart with some blanket stitch around it. So I'm excited to put that up. And I'll put a picture in here of the display I've started so far. And I can tell you about a purchase I made. And I'm going to put this in this part because it's definitely a stitchy purchase. Walmart in Canada, $9.99. It's flat in the package, and then you just put it together. So when it comes to storage, you could take it apart as well. But you know, I think it really holds all these little pillows. And I love it because, you know, it's not really red and it's not really pink. It definitely fits into my sewing studio. So I love that. So if you're looking for something, and for that price, I thought it was great. All right, so I've shown you my finishes. Now what I've been working on. So if you've been following along, I've been working on Bringo, and I'm happy to report that my Bringo is all done, and I have a blackout. I'll show you what my chart looks like. So there it is. It's all filled in. Now, it's a lot of projects, but it's only about 100 stitches each, so it wasn't a huge time commitment. So I'll show you a few things that I worked on. So there was a prompt that was the smallest whip. And for the smallest whip, I used my Labyrinth the Owl. This is by The Little Stitcher. It was a free pattern, unknown fabric, and it's the called for DMC. This is the one that I would really like to get finished soon. All right, and then next I have 2 Prairie Schoolers that I worked on for 2 different prompts. All right, so one of the prompts was an inside activity, and it's my favorite inside activity. And I have this much completed on it. And then the other one was the outside activity. And this is the outside activity. Oh, another question. Someone asked if it was all going to be on one page. No, or one piece of linen. I'm going to be cutting these and making small ornaments out of each one. There's about a 1/2 inch between the tops and the bottoms, which is enough for me to sew pillows or do flat folds. So that was outside activity. My Prairie Schooler ornaments are done on an 18 count putty from Zweigart. And I have enough fabric to do as many Prairie Schooler Santas as I'm going to do. Next one was my oldest whip. So my oldest whip is Hoity Toity. And I worked over in this area, finished this part up. This is on a 32 count antique white Lugana from Zweigart. And I'm using the called for DMC. And I'm really hoping to get more done on this one soon because I love it. I love working on it. The next was my largest whip. And so this is a newer start. This is Kingdom of Books. And this was a center start. And Kingdom of Books is on a 32 count Belfast linen in the color mocha. So just a very beginning start of that. But I have a whole year to work on it. And plus, probably. All right, the next one is the whip I dread. And I don't dread it anymore, which is good. This is from Remember November. And I was dreading it because I'm doing the stitching 1/1. And I'm dreading it because most of these colors are blended colors, so it's one strand of 2 different flosses. And I'm doing this both for the whip I dread, and also I do this one on the 11th of November, and I needed to have 300 stitches in it for the month, and I've managed that. So it's really coming along, and I have much better feelings about it, which also helps. So this is on a 28 count white Monaco with basically the called for threads. There might be a few changes. I didn't write it down on here what I changed. But the DMC colors, it would be what's called for. So that one's coming along, especially since now it has some pink in it. That's wonderful. All right, I'm working on Queen Elizabeth II in her coronation dress. And last time I was talking to you about how I was worried about the face being 1/1, and it's turning out okay. Now, putting the eyes in was one of the scariest things. You put in the first stitch and you think, oh my God, this is just going to be terrible. And then you keep putting more and more stitches in, and it really isn't until, you know, like the final back stitching stitches are in that it, you know, you kind of, yes, relax. Now, I know some people are concerned about it not looking like the Queen. I'm not concerned because I know that this piece is based on the dress design. So it's not based on a picture of the Queen in the dress, it's based on the dress. And when I looked at this, I think this is from, I don't know if it's the National Needlework Society. It's the society that did the needlework on the dress, and you can see the designer's rendering of what the dress was to look like. And then you can see how Teresa Gil based her pattern on that original design. I love the dress. I can hardly wait to keep going on it. All right. So I'm also in Semi-Sane Stitchers working on Choose My Whip. So this is where you post 2 or 3 different projects. Followers vote on which one they want you to work on. Well, when I posted it 2 weeks ago, they decided that I should work on 'Tis the Season. So this is how far I've stitched on 'Tis the Season. So 'Tis the Season is done on a mushroom colored 28 count even weave, and I'm using the called for colors. And this is a sub Rosa design. It was in the Punch Needle and Primitive Stitching magazine, Christmas winter 2021. I'm enjoying that. It's again nice, big blocks of stitching, so it goes quickly. And then for this most recent week for Choose My Whip, Squirrel is chosen. And Squirrel is really coming along. I'm quite enjoying. Again, nice big blocks of color to work on. There are, quarter stitches, but it's fine. It's all lining up really well. So that one's probably going to be finished sooner rather than later. So that's great. All right, so that's the stitching I've been working on. So my plan for February. Now where's my book? My plan for February. Okay, my plan for February. 2 new numbers were called for Whip Go. And so number 7 was a whip or new start that is in season. So I might do 'Tis the Season for that because, yeah, I'll do 'Tis the Season and have another big chunk because I do 500 stitches for my Whip Go. And then the other one is a whip or new start with an animal. I'm not sure. I'm probably Squirrel because 500 stitches would get that one done. And so that would be great. That'd be wonderful to have those more completed. I am taking part in a few semi-sane stitcher challenges, but nothing that's really time intensive at all. So really the only goals I have to meet are for Whip Go. And so I'm going to do spin the wheel for what I work on. And I'll use 2 wheels. I'll use this one that is for my older projects. And I think my plan will be spin that wheel twice before I spin my new start wheel. And I'll show you that one here. Now, my rule is I only have to do 100 stitches. So I'll do 100 and then I'll spin the wheel again. I'll do 100, I'll spin, I like working on multiple projects. I know a lot of people, they want to work on one project for a month or for weeks or for days at a time. And I think that has a lot to do with things being on scroll rods and all that. Since I just have hoops that I put things into or a few Q-snaps that are all set up, it's easy. It's easy just to pick up a project, work on it an hour, and work on the next one. So that's what I'm going to be working on. So I'm excited to keep working. I really would like to finish a project because I didn't finish any projects in January. I fully finished projects from last year, but I didn't finish anything in January. So, or yet, there's still, 5 more days. So who knows? Maybe I will. Maybe I will have something done. So that's kind of one of my goals. All right, temperature blanket. So I showed last time that I am crocheting a temperature blanket. And, it's getting good progress. So this is January. And on my color chart, that shows that the range has been right here. The range has been from up to 10 above to 10 below. That's typical Calgary area. 10 above, 10 below. We're always kind of in that range. So, and it goes this way. So that's where we're at today. It was colder at the beginning of January, and it's been really, for us, mild, right around 0 and above 0 for many days. We are going to have cold weather. And while Judy may hate that, Glenda and I will love it. Not because of the weather, but because of the colors. We might get down into some purples and yeah. I don't want any white, but this would be nice to get in this amethyst. For that, it has to go to at least -11. So we'll see. We'll see what colors I'll get to add to this. So I mentioned that this was a free pattern offered at Michael's, and that there was a video. And so I'm going to show you here the picture for the video, and I will link it down below. So in my description box, I link every pattern that I'm working on for cross stitch with the linens and the designers. For this, I have I'll have the link for the crochet temperature blanket and the pattern all listed there. And I also have some other patterns listed from both, I think just Instagram, for the next projects I'm going to show. So I've been sewing as well. So I've been in a bag challenge with my bag group that designs patterns for our charity, the Ujamagrammas. And the challenge was Year of the Rabbit. And so we were to think about rabbit and where that could lead us in bag making. And I have two little bags to show. And they do have a little rabbit on them. And there's this one with a little rabbit. But my story is not about the rabbit fabric. My story is about falling down the rabbit hole of Instagram. So on Instagram, you can watch people make bags. And there's just a speeded up little video. I love them. And so I just watch them sew it, and then I sew them myself. So that was this kind of a square or a box pouch, and this was for a different different pouch. Nice pink in there. And from each one there was some different techniques that I learned. This is also the rabbit hole of Cricut. So I made these little bunny zipper tags on my Cricut machine. And so that's another rabbit hole I have fallen down. Like, I don't have enough handcraft projects I want to work on. I have to find more. But I enjoyed working on them. So as well for that challenge, I also have two more things that were part of that Instagram rabbit hole. Again, another pattern that I watched being made. And this was on Little Green Beans Instagram feed. And it's a pocket pencil holder that is on elastic that you can put onto your journal. And so this is big enough to put in your pen and post-it notes. When I'm reading, because I'm in book clubs and that, I'll often want to jot a little note to refer to later. So that was the size that's shown on the Little Green Beans demonstration. But I decided I wanted to make it a little bit bigger. So I made this one. So you can see, I think this one is 3 inches wide and this one's 4 inches wide. And I made it bigger originally because I was thinking post-it notes, pens, etc. But as I'm thinking about other people, they often need their readers buy their book. So some people only ever use their readers when they're reading their book that's beside their bed. So I thought I would just show you how that would work. And when you're making for a charity, you don't just make one. So there's those two. And then I made another 4. And I showed it to our group, and so I'm sure there's going to be even more. Just a handy little pouch. These ones were all made from fabric samples that designers have in their studios. Oftentimes designers will donate their fabrics to our sale, our fabric and yarn sale, which is going to be the first week of May. And so we'll pick up a few sample books and make small projects out of them. So I'll probably be making more. Find the right fabric, find the right elastic, and make some. Okay, so that was sewing projects, crochet projects, books. Books is next. So I reserve books at the library, and you just never know when they're going to come in. So I order both books and audiobooks because living in the country, I get a lot of book reading done by audio as I'm driving back and forth into the city. And so in my car, I had the audio book for French Braid by Ann Tyler. Now, I love Ann Tyler. I always enjoy her books. They're so often about starting a new life or beginning again. So I really enjoy that kind of renewals kind of book. Well, in French Braid, we meet the Garrett family in the 1950s. They're preparing for a lake vacation. And we're introduced to the husband, Robin, the wife, Mercy, and their 3 children, Alice, Lily, and David. And then Ann Tyler takes us on this family's journey through decades, through 40 years. What does marriage look like over 40 years? What does parenthood look like over 40 years? And can an atypical marriage or family work? It was a really great book. I really enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend that to all my friends. And then the next one in my car, that was the one I was listening to in my car, French Braid. The one I was reading was The Arsonist City by Hala Alian. And this is a family story that covers almost 40 years. Masna, a Syrian girl, and Idris, a Lebanese boy, meet in Damascus and then spend a lot of time in Beirut. And this is during the Lebanese Civil War. They end up leaving that area, coming to California as a married couple, and raising their 3 children, Ava, Naja, and Mimi. And we find out about their marriage over 40 years, what parenthood looks like. You know, the stories are different. The first one is more about relationships and family dynamics. This one, the same family dynamics, but also the power that secrets have, and how all the different family members have secrets. And there's a point in the book where someone says, you deserve your secret. Now, you could look at that as, you deserve to keep your secret a secret. Or, you deserve what's happened in your life because of the secret you kept. So, if you read this one, I'd like to have your insight in what you think that quote means about everyone deserves their secrets. Again, a really great book. I mean, it's on Goodreads. It's a 5-star book. It's really highly recommended by everybody, even me. So there you go. I hope you get some reading in. All right. Well, thank you for sharing this time with me. If you've stayed this long and you haven't subscribed, you are committed, so you need to subscribe to this channel. I'd love to have you join us. I love your comments. What did you like best? People always have a favorite. I know I do. Oh, I'll have to take a video of what's happening outside. The polar vortex has descended. Our temperature is dropping like 20 degrees today, so I'm going to stay warm. I've got my lovely shawl that I knit from a friend's yarn that came from their goats and that my friend Russ dyed. So I'll be cozy. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.